Hey, what is going on, everybody? Welcome into the Tuesday edition on my YouTube channel. As everybody knows, this is the day I'm going to give out my top waiver wire targets for the week, as well as my streamable defenses. If this is a first-time listener, I'm sure you know what you can expect just based on the title of this video. So why don't I just go ahead and dive in to my top waiver targets. As always, this is per Yahoo. They have to have more than 50% availability on their rosters there. So why don't I just go ahead and get into the quarterback position. I'm going with my man Carson Wentz. He's available in 63% of the leagues right now. He's been playing really good football over the last 3 weeks against San Francisco. You know, he didn't put up gaudy numbers, but in that weather, that bomb cyclone, first time I've ever heard that term, he was pushing the ball down the field. He was showing off his arm strength and did deliver on a couple deep passes. And he had a couple of those that drew some pass interference. So he's not afraid to push the ball down the field. In that matchup, he did end up with 150 yards, 2 touchdowns. He did show that he's put, I'll go ahead and say it. I think he's put his sprained ankles fully behind him. He had 4 rushes for 23 yards. He had that quarterback read where he had the touchdown, where he outran 2 guys to get the edge and dive into the end zone. But one thing from that night, to me, that showcased he's kind of got his mobility back is it was a 2nd and 15 in the fourth quarter. I thought this was a huge play that he did to help get the offense in scoring position. He ended up scrambling for a 16 or 17 yard game to get the team a first down. So he can scramble. He's getting, I want to say he brings you a high floor with his rushing ability, but he always has that now in his pocket of tricks, or whatever, you bag of tricks if you want to use that term, that he can use. This weekend he's going against the Tennessee Titans. Like, listen, I know I don't know what happened. Patrick Mahomes didn't do anything. That Titans secondary is super banged up right now. It's not that great. I believe right now they are, even after not letting Pat Mahomes do much against them, they're still allowing, I want to say, the 7th most points per game to the quarterback position. So they're still giving up a lot of points. So if you're looking for a quarterback this week, maybe you have Lamar Jackson. He's on a bye week. You're looking to stream somebody. I think Carson Wentz is a good play. And he might be a good play for you over the next few weeks, because after the Titans on Sunday, they have the Jets on Thursday Night Football, and then they have the Jaguars the following week. So I like his matchups coming up. I know they play the Bucs in I think the 4th week. Bucs secondary is not that great. You can still get fantasy points against them. So Carson Wentz is starting to look like a viable fantasy option as long as he continues to string together good performances this season. Now, my running back out of the week, I do want to go ahead. I haven't done this yet this season. I'm going to kind of talk about 2 players. It's going to be the Kenneth Gainwell, the running back out of the week, but I'm also going to talk about the flex out of the week, Boston Scott. Miles Sanders, for those that don't know, he did hurt his ankle. It sounds like he's going to miss at least 2 weeks. I think it could be like a 2 to 4 week injury depending on the severity of the sprained ankle. So he's out probably at least this week, more likely next week, and we'll have to see the situation going forward. Obviously, Sanders has been a disappointment, but you might be looking for a good flex play this week, maybe a low-end RB2 play for your roster, and it might be Kenneth Gainwell. Let's start with him. He's available in 79% of the leagues. He's a rookie running back. He was already kind of working himself into the offense when Sanders was healthy. In his absence, he had the 5 rushes, 20 yards. He had the 4 receptions for 41 yards, a touchdown on 8 total targets. So you like that he's going to be give you a option, especially in PPR leagues, if he's going to be seeing 8 targets in a game. Now, obviously, they got down to the Raiders by quite a bit, so that's why they were more of a pass-happy offense. And then the other guy is Boston Scott. He's been a long-time member of the Eagles. He's always kind of filled in whenever Sanders has had a miss in the past, and he's done some nice things in fantasy football. He's available in 98% of the leagues. He had 7 rushes for 24 yards. He had that touchdown at the goal line. He only had 1 reception for 5 yards and 2 targets. So between both of them, I think Kenneth Gainwell is the one to add, the one to try to get, because I think he will more than likely dominate the amount of touches. I just still think Boston Scott's still a good add in my personal opinion. Not necessarily where I probably would add Gainwell and be okay playing them. They're playing the Lions this week, so the Lions have given up I haven't checked the running backs, but I'm pretty sure they're still probably giving up the most points per game to the running back position. So I think Kenneth Gainwell is a good add for this week, assuming Sanders indeed does get ruled out this week. I think he's a good flex play to a low-end RB2 play for you this week if you're looking for a running back. Now, Boston Scott, he's more of a deeper league guy. He's more of a guy I would add on my bench. See how this situation plays out, because you never know. Like, all of a sudden, the situation plays out this Sunday, and all of a sudden Scott's the guy to own. But then you don't have to battle it out for him next week on the waiver wire because you already added him to your bench to see how the situation plays out between Gainwell and Scott. So again, I would lean towards Gainwell the most. If you miss out on Gainwell and you got a spot, you got a guy on your bench you don't really like, I would go add Scott, see how the situation plays out this weekend, and if for whatever reason, if it's a 50-50 touch, or maybe he's actually the guy they're leaning on, maybe you got a sneaky ad for the next couple weeks. Again, Sanders is not expected to be out a long time, so these are short-term plays for people. My wide receiver ad of the week is Van Jefferson Jr. He's available in 91% of the leagues. This past weekend against the Lions, he had 4 receptions for 43 yards. He had the touchdown on 7 total targets. Now for me, Van is, so we all, well, I didn't have to deal with it like most of you did, but most people escape the bye-apocalypse. Now, obviously, we got some buys coming up, so you got to plan ahead. If you're going to be missing a wide receiver, you might be looking for somebody you can add. But one of the things I always suggest for people to start doing as we get towards like the middle of November, with that coming up here soon, as the buys kind of go away, you also got to plan for potential injuries, right? How many times, I mean, it's happened to me so many times. You get to the playoffs, you almost get to the championship game, and then one of your main guys, one of your studs, like a Cooper Kupp, maybe a Robert Woods at your wide receiver 2 or 3 spot, get hurt, and you don't have a compatible replacement. And Van Jefferson's that guy right now, because not only he is getting snaps with the starters, he like this past weekend he had 7 targets, and that was in a close game. And if anything were to happen to Cooper Kupp or Robert Woods, his snaps are going to go up, his targets are going to go up, and he's going to see a consistent target load week in and week out. So for me with Van, he's more of a bench ad, especially if you own any of those Rams wide receivers. But if you're looking for, maybe you're in a super deep league, you're desperate for a wide receiver play, I also kind of think he could be a sneaky play against the Texans. The Texans defense, is not that great, but I mean, more than likely, assuming they blow out the Rams, guys like Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods are going to go to the bench to protect themselves probably by the 4th quarter. Well, who's going to get the snaps when those guys go to the bench this Sunday? It's going to be Van Jefferson. So Van Jefferson kind of is a sneaky play for me this week, but more overall, he's more of a bench ad, planning for future injuries. If you got maybe a wide receiver you're not comfortable with, or you're just over and you're done dealing with his lack of production, or wherever the case may be. To go ahead and wrap up my waiver wire section. My tight end ad of the week, it's Mo Alley Cox. He's available in 83% of the leagues. My bad, I told you guys to sit him this past weekend. Well, he continues his 3 straight games of finding a touchdown. Now, here's the thing. He only had 3 receptions for 25 yards, but he got that touchdown. He only had the 3 targets, so you do want to see more. But obviously, guys, there's not that much out there on the waiver wire for me to pick tight ends. So for me, I think Mo Alley Cox was worth listening this week because he's the tight end 1 in the Colts offense. Jack Doyle hardly gets any snaps. Honestly, I think at this point, I forgot to check the snap count on Monday, but I think Kylan Granson at this point is either getting just as much snaps as Jack Doyle, if not more than him. So Mo Alley Cox is the guy. When they get closer to the red zone, Carson is looking his way. He offers a big body presence. Carson has always loved tight ends. So he is more of a tight end 2 that's touchdown dependent to me right now. But if he can start getting more targets in this offense, especially because, they lost Paris Campbell. We'll have to see if T.Y. can play this week. So I think he's starting to develop into a potential good fantasy tight end as we go towards the back half of the schedule. So, if you're desperate for a tight end, he might end up being the answer for you. Again, it's slim pickings out there in the tight end world on fantasy football waiver wire. So again, those guys are my top waiver wire targets for weeks 8. Carson Wentz at the quarterback position, Kenneth Gainwell at the running back position, Van Jefferson Jr. at the wide receiver position, Mo Alley Cox at the tight end position, Boston Scott at the flex position. Now let's go ahead and move into my top 5 streamable defenses. I thought I did pretty well with the defenses I suggested last week. I actually had a league, guys. I'll go ahead and be honest. I think the Giants were my number 5 defense, and one of my deeper leagues, I lost out on the Saints. I lost out on I think the Raiders defense, and both of those defenses did fine, right? I wish I would have got them. But then I ended up, I was like, well, I guess I got to roll the dice with the Giants, and it paid off for me that league. I got like 16 points from them. So again, that's why sometimes it's always good to take a chance on the matchup that's presented to you. So why don't I just go ahead and dive into my top streamable defenses? This one is easy pickings for me. It's the Bengals. They're available in 78% of the leagues right now. They are facing the Jets this week. Obviously, the Jets are just downright bad right now. They're all type of banged up on the offense, on the defense, and then on top of that, Zach Wilson, their second overall pick, he hurt his knee. He's out for the next 2 to 4 weeks. It looked like it was going to be Mike White, a third-year veteran that hasn't had a starting experience. He just got his first regular season appearance. I think that was the first time. I don't think he played for the Cowboys at all in the regular season. Yeah, I think that was his first appearance in the regular season. But regardless, he'd be making his first start if he does play this Sunday. But then they traded for Joe Flacco this past weekend. But you're talking about a guy that was with the Eagles coming over to the new team. So even if he plays, he probably doesn't have the offense fully down. And on top of that, that Jets offense just has been very hit and miss. So also, let's talk about the Bengals. The Bengals got a really good they got a pretty good defense right now. They basically slowed down and shut down Lamar Jackson and that Ravens offense in the second half of that past game. So I like the sack potential. I love the turnover potential because of who's playing the quarterback. So the Bengals are out there. Go grab them off the waiver wire. My number 2 streamable defense, yeah, I'm going to go with the Eagles against the Lions. The Eagles, obviously, they've been, I want to say a disappointment, but man, they are very an up and down, hit and miss team in these games. I'll tell you this, spoiler alert for my Saturday video, I might be right now leaning towards the Lions winning this game, but that doesn't mean I don't think the Eagles defense could be a very good streaming defense this week. They're going against the Lions. I think everybody's heard me do this pitch against the Lions, right? Lions offense doesn't have many receivers. Jared Goff, as we saw this past weekend, he's either going to fumble the ball or throw an interception. Blah, blah, blah. You guys heard me do this pitch about how bad the Lions offense is with Jared Goff and the lack of weapons that they have on the outside. Factor into Darius Slay, former Lion. He's going to want to get an interception. So I just like the potential where, Javon Hargrave can eat up the middle of that offensive line that can allow guys like Josh Sweat to come off the edge, hit Jared Goff. There's turnover potential, and it's just not that great of an offense. So there's low scoring potential. It might not be the sexiest game to watch. Like I said, I could see the Lions winning this, but I still think there's you can always get a fantasy defense that loses the real game, but it does very well for you in fantasy, and I think the Eagles will be that this week. My number 3 streamable defense, I'm going with the football team against the Broncos. The football team is available in 66% of the leagues. Obviously, the football team's defense has been I don't know, disappointment. I don't know what the right word is, but they just not hit expectations whatsoever. But they're going against the Broncos this weekend. Last time we saw the Broncos was that Thursday night game last week. They didn't show anything promising on offense. It was very meh the whole time. Teddy Bridgewater looked like he was less than 100%. He wasn't able to push the ball down the field. We got to see what Myles Garrett and Davion Clowney got to do in that matchup. And then you're talking about I'm getting the Sweat's names mixed up, but Sweat from the football team and Chase Young, they can come off the edge. Jonathan Allen's having a good year, as well as Daron Payne can eat up the middle. So I like the sack potential that they can get on Teddy in this game, and I just don't see the Broncos scoring a lot of points. But at the end of the day, you're kind of gambling that secondary won't let like Jerry Jeudy in his first game eat him alive, or Cortland Sutton. But on this one, I'm betting on the talented front four of Washington to dominate this matchup and get in Teddy's face and harass him throughout the day, which will allow you guys to get sacks and potential turnovers, especially if they're able to hit him and maybe force a fumble. So yeah, I think that they are a good defense to take a chance on this week. My number 4 defense, I'm going with the Chargers against the Patriots. The Chargers are available in 83% of the leagues. They're going up to Foxborough to face Mac Jones, so it's a rookie quarterback. Now, I will say this, Mac Jones is playing really good football. He's playing efficient football right now. But what I really like is the Chargers are coming off a bye week. They've done a good job for the most part to take away what works best for offenses in the passing attack. So they're going to try to make the Patriots one-dimensional. Now, obviously, you got the fear of Damian Harris and Brandon Bolden and that rushing attack, running down the Chargers' throat. But I think I'm willing to take a chance on it because I think I could see the Chargers coming off the bye with a nice little game plan, and they're going to be able to confuse Mac Jones, be able to show him different looks that he's not looking for, and that could potentially allow a guy like Joey Bosa to come off the edge because he's overthinking. He's got the ball in his hands too much for sacks, and then what that can do, that can maybe allow a potential turnover. Maybe Derwin James gets his hand on the interception. Nasir Adderley, somebody like that back there in the secondary. So if you're looking for somebody to take a gamble on, I think the Chargers defense might be it. Now, my other one is I'm going with the Seahawks against the Jaguars. The Seahawks are available in 87% of the leagues right now. Obviously, the Seahawks defense hasn't been that great, but this past weekend, they only, on Monday night, last night, they only gave up 13 points. Now, that was bad weather, so we'll have to see how the weather is between both these teams. But it's just that, it's a rookie quarterback. Trevor Lawrence has played better football as every week has progressed. He's coming off the bye week. I think Trevor definitely will play better as the season goes on. But you're talking about a rookie quarterback, Pete Carroll. Let's see if he can mix things up. Maybe he can get Jamal Adams to blow up that bad offensive line of the Jaguars, get some sacks, get some early pressure on Trevor. Again, this is probably a super deep league play with the Seahawks defense. Hey, it paid off for me in the Giants last week. Maybe it might be the Seahawks this week. So yeah, those are my top 5 streamable defenses for week 8. We got the Bengals against the Jets, Eagles against the Lions, football team against the Broncos, Chargers against the Patriots, and the Seahawks against the Jaguars. So that's my video, guys. As always, if you enjoyed this video, hit the like button. If you have not subscribed to my channel, please hit the subscribe button. If you haven't checked out the Prospect Encyclopedia, what are you doing? Get your hands on it. Go to prospectencyclopedia.com to order it. Get the entire PDF for $15. Individual NFL team PDFs are $1. You can always check out the Buck section for free and then make your purchase after that if it indeed impresses you. Other than that, why don't I just go ahead and get off of this so I can get this edited so you guys can watch this sooner than later. I will be back tomorrow for my top starts and sits, but if you have any fantasy football questions, hit up my DMs, at me at Cody Talks NFL on Twitter. Shoot me a text if you got my number, but I'll see you guys tomorrow night.